America's dream of getting home for Christmas just turned into a frozen nightmare. A massive winter storm is unleashing absolute chaos across the United States at the worst possible moment in history. We are talking about 110 million Americans trying to travel during the holidays while Mother Nature drops a meteorological bomb stretching from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. This is a travel apocalypse. Picture this. You check your phone. Flight canceled. You look around the airport terminal and see thousands of faces showing the same horror. You are trapped. Outside those windows, snow is falling so fast, runway crews cannot keep up. Ice is coating everything. The storm is not stopping. Right now, tens of millions of Americans are experiencing their worst travel nightmare becoming reality. Nearly 10,000 flights canceled or delayed in a single day. Ground stops at major airports where no planes can take off or land. Interstate highways transformed into dangerous ice rinks where vehicles slide helplessly out of control. Emergency crews working around the clock, just trying to keep roads passable. And the most terrifying part? This storm hit during the peak of the single busiest travel period in American history, catching millions of people at the absolute worst possible moment. The Northeast is being absolutely hammered by this relentless winter assault. New York City, the city that never sleeps, is buried under what officials are calling the most significant snowfall in years. Manhattan, normally alive with millions of people moving through its streets 24/7, looks like a frozen ghost town where even the bravest New Yorkers are staying inside. New Jersey declared a state of emergency, mobilizing resources across the entire state. Winter storm warnings are screaming across weather apps from Pennsylvania all the way to Maine, painting a terrifying picture of frozen chaos. And the storm is dumping not just snow, but a deadly cocktail of snow mixed with rain, sleet, and ice that is creating conditions so dangerous that even experienced winter drivers with decades of experience are terrified to get behind the wheel. But here is what makes this storm truly catastrophic beyond just the weather itself: the timing. This is not happening on some random Tuesday in January when people can just call in sick and stay home safe and warm. This is happening during the absolute peak of holiday travel when families are scattered across the country. Families who traveled hundreds or thousands of miles to be together for Christmas are now separated, stranded in unfamiliar airports and hotels, watching their money drain away on expensive rebooking fees and emergency accommodations that are price gouging desperate travelers. Parents desperately trying to get home to their kids. Kids trying to get back to college for the start of the semester. Elderly grandparents stuck in unfamiliar cities without their medications. Everyone trapped by a storm that seems determined to ruin what should be the most wonderful time of the year. The storm system is absolutely massive, stretching across thousands of miles and affecting tens of millions of people simultaneously. Meteorologists are tracking what they describe as a beast of a winter storm, pulling moisture from multiple atmospheric sources and transforming it into a frozen assault on the entire Northeast corridor. This is not a localized weather event affecting just one city or state. This is a regional catastrophe affecting the most densely populated part of America. From the Great Lakes to the Atlantic coast, the storm is dumping precipitation in every frozen form imaginable. Heavy snow is burying cities that thought they were prepared, cities with extensive snow removal equipment and decades of winter experience. Sleet is making roads absolutely treacherous, creating a layer of ice pellets that make driving feel like skating on ball bearings. Freezing rain is coating power lines and tree branches, adding dangerous weight that threatens to bring down electrical infrastructure and leave thousands in the dark. And regular rain is mixing with sub-freezing temperatures to create black ice on contact, the invisible killer that sends vehicles spinning out of control without any warning whatsoever. Rochester, New York is experiencing near whiteout conditions where visibility drops to almost nothing. Drivers are creeping along at 20 miles per hour on highways designed for 65, praying they can see the taillights of the car ahead before they rear-end them. The wind is howling at dangerous speeds, creating snow drifts that can literally bury a car in minutes if drivers make the mistake of stopping in the wrong place. Manhattan woke up to a completely transformed cityscape that looks nothing like the vibrant metropolis tourists expect. The iconic skyline is barely visible through the heavy snowfall that just keeps coming. Streets that usually flow with endless yellow cabs and delivery trucks are eerily quiet, almost post-apocalyptic. The few vehicles brave enough to venture out are moving at a crawl, their tire tracks quickly disappearing under fresh snow that accumulates faster than anyone can shovel it. Pennsylvania is getting slammed with conditions that are testing every piece of infrastructure. New Jersey is paralyzed with major highways closed. Connecticut is shutting down non-essential services. Massachusetts is bracing for the storm's full impact. The entire Northeast Corridor, home to tens of millions of Americans who depend on reliable transportation, is under siege from a storm showing absolutely no mercy. Overnight temperatures plunged well below freezing across the entire affected region, and that detail is crucial to understanding why this is so dangerous. Every single drop of moisture hitting the ground is freezing on contact. Roads are not just wet or snowy, they are literal ice rinks. Sidewalks are not just slippery, they are dangerous obstacle courses where one wrong step can mean a broken bone and an emergency room visit during a crisis when hospitals are already overwhelmed. Winter storm warnings remain in effect through the afternoon, meaning this nightmare is far from over. The storm will continue for hours more. If you think the roads are bad, the airports are experiencing absolute chaos that defies description. Nearly 10,000 flights canceled or delayed on what is supposed to be one of the busiest travel days of the year. Think about that number for a second. 10,000 flights. Each flight carries an average of 150 passengers. That means roughly 1.5 million people had their travel plans destroyed in a single day. 1.5 million people who are now stranded, stressed, and desperately trying to figure out how to get where they need to go. Newark Liberty International Airport, one of the major gateways to New York City, implemented a ground stop. That means no planes are taking off or landing. The airport is essentially frozen, not by bureaucracy, but by actual ice and snow that has made operations too dangerous to continue. Ground crews are working frantically to clear runways, but the snow is falling faster than they can remove it. It is a losing battle against nature. JFK International Airport is experiencing massive disruptions. Departure boards that should show "on time" in neat green letters are instead showing "canceled" and "delayed" in angry red across almost every flight. Terminal hallways are packed with confused, frustrated, exhausted travelers who have nowhere to go. Customer service lines are stretching hundreds of people deep. Phone hold times to reach airline representatives are measuring in hours, not minutes. LaGuardia Airport, already notorious for delays even in good weather, is completely overwhelmed. The combination of heavy snow, ice accumulation, and wind gusts is making it impossible to maintain normal operations. Planes that are already on the ground cannot leave because runways are not safe. Planes that are supposed to arrive cannot land because there is nowhere to put them. More than 500 additional flights have been canceled or delayed nationwide on top of the initial disaster numbers. Airlines are scrambling to rebook passengers, but there are simply not enough seats available. Flights are fully booked for days in advance. People who need to get home for work on Monday are being told the earliest available flight is Wednesday or Thursday. The cascading effect of this storm is going to impact air travel for a week or more. Inside airport terminals, the scene is catastrophic. Families camp on floors because every seat is taken. Children cry from exhaustion. Parents are at breaking point, managing rebooking attempts while checking weather updates constantly. Food courts are running out of options. When thousands expected to be home are stuck for 12+ hours, they need to eat. A mediocre sandwich that costs $12 is now $20. Hotel rooms near airports are completely sold out. The few remaining rooms demand $400 or more for what usually costs $150. The human stories are heartbreaking. A grandmother who cannot get home for a critical medical appointment, a young couple whose wedding is in 3 days, stuck 1,000 miles away, a business traveler who will lose a major contract if they miss Monday's meeting. Airport staff are overwhelmed, working double shifts, getting yelled at by frustrated travelers, personally affected by the same storm. Safety must come first, even when it disappoints thousands. If staying off airplanes means avoiding disaster, think again. The highways are experiencing their own version of frozen hell. An estimated 110 million people traveled by car this holiday season, representing the highest number ever recorded in American history. That means tens of millions of vehicles are on American roads right now, and a huge percentage of them are trying to navigate through conditions that range from extremely difficult to absolutely deadly. Interstate highways across the Northeast have been transformed into frozen parking lots where normal traffic flow is impossible. Vehicles are sliding off roads despite drivers' best efforts to maintain control. Multi-car pileups are closing lanes for hours while emergency crews struggle to clear wreckage and treat injured drivers in dangerous conditions. Traffic that should flow smoothly at 65 miles per hour is instead crawling at 20 if it is moving at all. What should be a comfortable 3-hour drive home is turning into an 8 or 10-hour nightmare of white-knuckle terror. Black ice is the invisible killer. You cannot see it. Your car drives normally, then suddenly you have zero traction, sliding toward a guardrail with nothing you can do. Emergency crews work around the clock with salt trucks and sand spreaders, heroes fighting to keep roads passable, but even heroic efforts cannot keep up with ice formation at these temperatures. Officials beg people to slow down and triple following distances. A car at 50 miles per hour on ice needs 10 times the normal stopping distance. What seems like safe space becomes a rear-end collision. The psychological toll is immense. Hands cramping from gripping the wheel, shoulders tensed, hours of stress and exhaustion ahead. Some drivers admit defeat, pulling into hotels or rest stops. The smart decision, but hotel rooms are filling fast. Families sleep in cars because there is nowhere else to go. Behind every canceled flight and stranded vehicle is a real person whose life is being disrupted by forces beyond their control. Sarah, a Boston nurse who spent Christmas in Ohio, needs to be at the hospital tomorrow. Her flight canceled 3 times. Patients depend on her. She sits helplessly in a terminal watching weather reports. James and his 2 young children are stuck on Interstate 80, moving 15 miles per hour through worsening snow. His wife is home in New York. His kids ask when they will be home. He watches his fuel gauge drop. Margaret, 72, traveling alone, does not travel often. Airports stress her out normally. Now she faces cancellations, chaos, and fear of sleeping on an airport floor because she cannot afford inflated hotel prices. College students need to get back for semester start. Many on tight budgets cannot afford expensive hotels or rebooking fees. They sleep in terminals, rationing money for food. Restaurant and retail workers who traveled are panicking. If they do not show up for shifts, they could lose jobs. They call bosses from hundreds of miles away, praying for understanding. The holidays are supposed to be about family and joy. Instead, millions experience stress, fear, and separation. Stuck in uncomfortable places, surrounded by strangers, watching carefully made plans crumble. The psychological cost will linger long after snow melts. This storm is exposing some uncomfortable truths about American infrastructure and our preparedness for extreme weather. We have built a society that depends on just-in-time logistics and constant movement. When that movement stops, everything breaks down quickly. This is the busiest travel season in American history. 110 million people traveling by car, millions more by air. We have more people moving through our transportation systems than ever before, and a single weather event can bring the entire network to its knees. That fragility is concerning. Climate scientists have been warning for years that extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and more intense. Winter storms can become more severe as atmospheric patterns shift. More moisture in the atmosphere means more precipitation. More variability means unexpected storms at unexpected times. This might be the new normal, not an aberration. Our infrastructure was built for the climate of the past, not the climate of the present or future. Airports designed decades ago cannot handle the strain of modern travel volumes combined with weather disruptions. Highway systems built for different weather patterns struggle when conditions exceed their design parameters. We need to invest in resilience, but that investment is expensive and politically difficult. The economic cost of this storm will be enormous. Airlines will lose billions in revenue and compensation costs. Hotels and rental car companies will have windfall profits. But overall tourism and travel spending will drop as people reconsider holiday travel after experiencing this nightmare. Workers who miss shifts will lose income. Businesses that depend on just-in-time delivery will face disruptions. The ripple effects will spread far beyond the Northeast. As this storm continues to batter the Northeast, millions of Americans are learning hard lessons about the unpredictability of winter travel. The dream of getting home for Christmas has become a frozen nightmare for countless families. Airports remain chaotic, highways remain dangerous, and the storm is still dumping snow, sleet, and ice across a vast region. Emergency crews continue working around the clock. Airline staff are doing their best to rebook desperate travelers. Highway workers are fighting to keep roads passable. These everyday heroes are making a difference, even if it feels like a losing battle against nature's fury. For the tens of millions of Americans affected by this storm, the message from officials is clear. Slow down, be patient, and prioritize safety over speed. Getting home late is better than not getting home at all. The roads and runways will eventually clear. Flights will eventually resume, but recovery will take days, and the impacts will linger for weeks. This is what happens when extreme weather hits during peak travel season. This is the chaos that unfolds when millions of people need to be in motion, and nature decides to throw a frozen obstacle in their path. The snowstorms causing travel delays and cancellations across the United States are a stark reminder that despite all our technology and infrastructure, we are still at the mercy of the weather. Stay safe, America. The storm will pass. The travel nightmare will end. But the memories of this frozen chaos will last for years to come.